What would you do if you heard your own family laughing about your cancer behind your back? That question burned in my mind as I sat in the living room, pretending to watch the evening news. The chemotherapy had taken my hair, my strength, my appetite, almost everything but my will. I wore that wig like armor, though it felt heavier than usual that Tuesday. I had been through a lot in my 69 years, but nothing stung like what I heard next. From the kitchen, just beyond the thin walls, came the unmistakable voice of my daughter-in-law, Annesley. You should see her now. That wig makes her look like a bald eagle trying to wear a Halloween costume. How do you keep breathing when the people closest to you twist the knife deeper with every word? I gripped the remote, my hand shaking. The laughter that followed her words echoed louder than the news anchor's voice. Every laugh chipped away at what little strength I had left. And then came the words that truly shattered me. I swear, she was already ugly before the cancer. Now she looks like a walking corpse. I froze. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might tear through my chest. I wanted to yell, to scream, to tell her how much pain I was in, not from the chemo, but from her. But I didn't. I stayed silent. Again. Is silence strength or surrender? Wesley walked in a few seconds later, loosened tie, tired eyes, and the same flat tone he always used. Hey, Mom, how are you feeling today? He didn't mean it. He never did. Before I could respond, Annesley laughed again from the kitchen. She's telling her friends about yoga, he said with a half smile. You know how women are when they get together. I nodded. Of course. He always made excuses for her. Just like when she threw away my mother's china, or when she moved Judd's photos into a box, saying it was time for me to move on. What happens when the people meant to protect you become the ones erasing you? It hadn't started all at once. At first, she offered to help with groceries, then the cooking, the cleaning. Before I realized it, I had become a guest in my own house. The master bedroom was too big for just one person, she said, and I was moved into the guest room. My guest room. Then came the final blow. We really need to start thinking about her future living arrangements. Living arrangements. Code for, let's put her in a home. I stood slowly, my joints stiff, heart numb. Outside the window, the neighborhood hadn't changed. The same houses, same trees, same laughter of children on bicycles. But inside, everything was different. I had become invisible, replaceable, a burden. When did I stop being their family and start being their problem? I walked to the mirror. My reflection was foreign, sickly, pale, defeated. Annesley was right about one thing. I did look terrible. But as I stared at that worn-out face, a thought formed like fire rising from ashes. This is still my house. I may look like a corpse to them, but I am not dead yet. Something changed in me that moment. It wasn't loud. It didn't come with shouting or slamming doors. It came with the quiet realization that I had to stop waiting to be respected and start taking back what was mine. What if the weakest-looking person is just the one planning a silent revolution? What if the one person you lost left behind a secret that could save you? The house was silent that night. The kind of silence that didn't feel peaceful. It felt like something was watching, waiting. I lay in the guest room, the same room Annesley forced me into when she claimed the master bedroom was too much space for one old woman. The shadows on the wall shifted as wind tapped the window, but my mind wasn't on the weather. It was on a memory, a voice, Judd's voice. If life ever gets hard, check the drawer behind our photo, Norma. The one in the old dresser. Don't forget. I had dismissed it at the time, thinking it was just one of his sentimental habits. But tonight, it felt like something more. A nudge. A whisper. What if he knew this would happen? What if he prepared for this moment? I sat up, heart racing, and walked to that old oak dresser, the one Judd had refused to let Annesley replace. I opened the middle drawer, and there it was, our wedding photo. Dusty, faded at the edges. I lifted the frame and behind it, a small metal key taped to the wood. Beneath the drawer's velvet lining, I found a hidden compartment. Inside, a black lockbox. My hands trembled as I opened it, and what I saw inside nearly knocked the breath out of my chest. Bank documents, investment portfolios, property deeds, offshore accounts, and a letter. My dearest Norma, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone and life has become cruel to you. But I planned for that. Everything in this box is yours. No one knows. Not even Wesley. $128 million. Enough for you to never depend on anyone again. How does a woman go from powerless to unstoppable in a single heartbeat? Tears spilled down my cheeks, not from grief, but from sheer, overwhelming relief. Judd hadn't just loved me, he'd protected me, even in death. My fingers clutched the papers like they were lifelines, like they were proof that I hadn't lost everything. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up planning, thinking, breathing differently. Something in me had changed. I wasn't a walking corpse anymore. I was a woman with a secret, a woman with a plan. What do you do when you suddenly hold all the power, but no one knows it yet? At dawn, I made the first call, to a private lawyer Judd had mentioned once, then a banker, then a luxury retirement community in Scottsdale, Arizona. I told them to expect me soon. I didn't tell Wesley. I didn't tell Aninsley, not yet. When the storm is coming, do you warn the people who built the fire, or let them drown in the flood they never saw coming? For the first time in years, I smiled, not because things were okay, but because they were about to change. And this time, I was the one making the rules. What happens when the one they underestimated stops playing small? It was a Sunday morning when I asked them to sit down. Wesley came half awake, coffee still in his hand. Aninsley looked irritated, her eyes scanning my face, trying to guess why I looked different. I didn't wait for them to settle. I didn't ask for permission. I just started talking, calm, firm, and with a voice they hadn't heard in years. I'm leaving. They blinked, confused. Wesley leaned forward. Leaving where? Arizona. I've bought a house, a car. I've hired a private nurse, and I'm starting over. Why does the quietest voice suddenly shake the entire room? Aninsley dropped her spoon into her cereal bowl. What do you mean you've bought a house? You don't have... Yes, I do. I cut her off, placing a folder on the table. Inside it were copies of the documents from Judd's lockbox, my lawyer's card, a photo of my new home. Judd left me everything, and I kept it a secret, just like he told me to. Wesley's face turned pale. He looked at the papers like they were ghosts. How long have you known? Since the night you told me to eat in the garage. I smiled, not out of spite, but out of power. And I've been planning ever since. How do you look someone in the eye after they bury you and realize you were never dead? I slid the house keys across the table. You can keep this place. I don't want it. It holds nothing for me anymore. Aninsley stood, but words failed her. Her mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. For once, the woman who always had something to say was completely, painfully silent. I'm not your burden anymore, I said softly, standing up. I never was. You just needed me to be. Wesley whispered, You're serious. Dead serious. What if the person you treated like a shadow was the light waiting to blind you? I turned, walked to the front door, picked up the small suitcase I'd packed the night before. I looked back once, not because I needed their approval, but because I wanted to remember the moment they realized I didn't need them. You always acted like I was already gone, I said, hand on the doorknob. Well, now, I really am. Is the real revenge simply walking away, stronger? The air outside felt different, like freedom, like breath, like life. I stepped into the taxi, looked ahead, and never turned back. 6 months later, I live under the Arizona sun. My garden is blooming, my lungs are full, and my days are mine. My foundation is growing fast, helping women escape homes that buried them alive. I laugh louder now. I sleep better. I live deeper. I thought I was finished, but life was just beginning. If my story touched your heart, Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far strength can travel.